Bienvenidos a esta presentación de los complementos directos e indirectos y sus pronombres. This presentation will discuss direct objects, direct object pronouns, and the proper position of the direct object pronouns. This PowerPoint that you're watching contains both direct and indirect objects and their pronouns. This video will stop halfway through the PowerPoint and only discuss the direct object pronouns. Please look for the video on indirect objects to practice them. The first step in figuring out how to use direct object pronouns is knowing how to find a direct object in your sentence. There's 3 simple steps to follow. The first is to find your verb. In the sentence, yo leo las composiciones en casa, leo is your verb. Once you have found your verb, you ask who or what of the verb. In this specific example, we ask I read who or I read what, que leo o quién leo. The answer to this question is going to be your direct object. Leo las composiciones. Las composiciones is our direct object. It is called a direct object because it is directly receiving the action of the verb. What am I reading? I am reading the compositions. The compositions directly receive the action of the verb to read. So now for the pronouns. The 4 that we're going to use mainly in this presentation are for singular and plural masculine and feminine nouns. El aguacate, a masculine singular noun, is replaced by the pronoun lo. The way to say it when referring to la fresa, a feminine singular object, is la. The way to say them for a masculine plural object, for example, los cacahuates, is los. And sticking with our food theme, las sandías, a feminine plural object, is las. If you note, lo has an asterisk, and I point this out because a lot of times students mistakenly use el because they're used to el, la, los, las as a group for the definite articles, but the way to say it for a masculine singular object is not el, it is lo. Me, te, and nos are also used as direct object pronouns. The most difficult part that students that are learning Spanish have is where to put the pronouns. It's a little bit different depending on the situation. The first and most common is before a conjugated verb. I buy it, the it refers to la ensalada, is la compro. Compro is our conjugated verb, and instead of saying I buy it, in Spanish we say it I buy. In a negative sentence, I do not buy it, it still stays before the conjugated verb, but it goes between the no and the compro. So the la, or the direct object pronoun rather, takes precedence over the no. I want to buy it has 2 verbs in it. I want is conjugated, to buy is an infinitive. There are 2 positions in this sentence. La quiero comprar is what we've talked about before the conjugated verb quiero. If there's an infinitive associated with that conjugated verb, you can attach the pronoun to the end of the infinitive. Quiero comprarla. To a Spanish teacher or a Spanish speaker, either sounds perfect. There is no preference, and one does not sound better than the other. Buy it. With commands, it can be a little tricky because it's different from affirmative and negative commands. With an affirmative command, it is attached to the end of the command. You need to count 3 syllables from the back of the word, and an accent mark goes on the strong vowel of the 3rd syllable from the end. Cómprala. Don't buy it. A command, a negative command telling me not to do something, is a little different. The pronoun goes in between the no and the command. Practiquemos. A common exercise in your Spanish class or on a quiz might be to rewrite the sentence replacing the direct object with the direct object pronoun. So before we show you the answers, to review, first you find your direct object, then you choose the appropriate pronoun to replace it with, and then you put that pronoun in the appropriate position. Estudiamos la historia esta noche. We study history tonight. We study who or we study what. The history is our direct object. La estudiamos esta noche. ¿Por qué no compras las banderas? Is rewritten. ¿Por qué no las compras? Yo tengo el sacapuntas en la oficina. Yo lo tengo en la oficina. Necesito cerrar mi armario can be written two different ways. Lo necesito cerrar o necesito cerrarlo. Gracias por ver esta presentación y te deseo mucho éxito. And don't forget to watch the next video on the indirect objects and their pronouns.